Alright, so this is my 6th time starting the recording, so if you can hear this, I get it right this time and do not need to do some, at least like most editing for the video. So I am going to talk about every card in the new automata initiative card in the set. So some of these I have seen already and some of these were released just today, so I have like small idea what they do, but I haven't thought about them too much yet. So let's start with the honor cards. Strike Fund. I think this is going to be kind of a mediocre one. It's basically like beanstalk royalties if you just play it raw, and then you gain just 2 credits if you like don't if you trash this. Nearest comparison Steelskin Scarring is much better because getting 3 cards for like 1 click is just like playing a diesel for 1 credit, which is better than playing just a beanstalk royalties. And even if you trash this, it's not going to be as beneficial as trashing something else like a Steelskin. Even though there is some trash support, I think trash support is going much like lower on the value pole after Bean Breakers go. So like there are some cards like Adriana, I think it's how it's pronounced, that will support this, but I don't think this does enough for you to include this. But this gentleman here, or this person here, might be the new Anarch ID. At least I think that person is on other cards as well. Oh, though I think this person is also on 1 card. Yeah. The next card, the price. I think this is similar to an old card called Steam Hack, which trashed some cards off top of the stack, and then it drew you for, revealed 4, and trashed all the programs and gave you money, I think. So this is just trashes cards, and then you install one of them paying 3 less. I think this is actually really solid. It basically allows you to install and get a credit discount and draw as well, on the same time. This is like, if you play this, you might actually include the other card, because it starts to get like bit better if you just play a good card and then you just incidentally gain 2 extra credits. But I think like this is going to be one of the better cards, and I think Anarch has enough like good recursion to get this, like get back the tools that you lose from playing this. Next, Solitary Dispatch. Insane card. It does so much for you. Like draw is one of the things that keeps Hoshiko as the top runner on like runner side compared to other Anarchs, and this is like one influence thing that one can include. But I think Freedom especially benefits super much from this. You gain extra credit, extra draw, which Freedom lacks, and you also do like huge amounts of trashing every turn. One of the problems with these cards is that you need probably like want to have an extra way to generate power tokens on this card, so you don't have to keep trashing stuff. But I think it's good enough as it is, and it even has some like incidental anti-tag value, which is huge, because I think like Oppo Research is going to be a huge card in the new set. So like getting one of those tags off you for no click is going to be huge. So you can actually like do a run or something on the same turn. Also power token support, which is nice. Audrey V2, one of the other like Freedom support cards, I think, because this also needs you to keep trashing things off the table. Some people said that this is worse Faust, and I I didn't play when Faust was like the best card in the game or like best breaker, so it's really hard for me to say that is this like good enough. But at least I think I'm going to try this in Freedom, but I don't see this going in like other decks. Freedom can get like extra value with fire tokens, and you get like extra benefits from having like Audrey out, as your like other breaker options are so much worse. Also, this has the trash cards from your grip thing. So like you insta play 3 Steelskin, and if you're relying on this and have the other like Steamhack Light in your deck, I think this is going to be a huge for you. Banner, it's I think a game defining thing. The game might go like in the favor of when you have a banner out, all of your like barriers kind of stop mattering, because I was looking at the list and the most of the barriers don't have like real face checks after like having the end run subroutines, so like this doesn't really scare you at all. There's stuff and only like stuff like Bran and Pharos and all of the advanceable ones can get to over 5 strengths, and then you can have stuff like Leech in your deck. Also, this is really nice with like Steelskin Scarring, because this doesn't actually enter not Steelskin Scarring, like the what's the card called? Raindrops Got Stone, because this doesn't actually break any subroutines, but lets them fire, so you just get value from it, even though you actually break in the end run subroutines. Also, I think this doesn't combo with Banker at all, because the subroutines still fire and you still take damage from them, even though you stop the end run subroutine from mattering. Also, really good art. I wish this was a playmat art, and there's huge amounts of cool art in this set. Like, I think I don't see any like art that I dislike, or feels like it's like a bit like not finished yet, like at the start of Null Signal games, and it's really good. Next card, Monkey Wrench. I don't understand why people hype this card up so much. It feels like it's just a turbine that you pay two less to install, and it works with the AI breakers. So you might see this in like turtle decks, but there you have stuff like Leech that you use, and this kinda doesn't still let you in completely, so you still get purged out, but it at least is interesting in those kind of decks. In other decks I don't really see like the purpose behind this one. This is the person I think here. I would think so, with them having like the same outfit and looking kind of similar. Some tag me support. Oh, it's a clone. That might like explain the similarities. I'm not sure. This is one of these that I really haven't seen before. I don't know if it was revealed today, but take one tag, run archive, successful breach R&D. Breach R&D. Yeah, and if it's stress 3, you gain one extra tag, one extra access. Kinda good, I would think so, but like getting the tag and you like not being able to clear it clicklessly is going to be super rough. And this is a resource, so if you like float the tag, it's just getting destroyed. So I'm not kind of seeing it, I don't believe. But if there's like other tag me support where you just like use this and then do like and if you can combine this with effects like twinning, that might make make a bit more sense with you getting extra breach accesses. And also I lost my train of thought for a second. Also, this has the limit once per turn, so you cannot use this as like similar as you use like the sneak door beta where you put it down just farm through. You need to use this constantly, and if you start using this constantly, you start to get penalized by having to clear the tags every time. Wheels. I think this is the first card that was completely revealed. I think this is going to be a huge card. I first didn't read it was only for the remote server, but still it's... if you can combine this with extra value from your runs on like remote servers, you start getting these extra clicks and extra value, especially against asset decks, and against normal decks you still get like they put stuff in the remote and you still get value from clearing it. And the biggest place for this I think is going to be in like Amakua decks. That might be useful now that bin breakers are gone and you need other breaking solutions. And also you can use this to remove a tag if you get tagged and don't have a like good way to clear it and need still to do stuff. Also, the dog is really cool here. I don't think it's like Wheels' dog, but at least based on like one of the lore things that revealed one card. Lago Paranoia Shelter. Like one of these cards that is an effect that is basically like a old ID or old card effect, but placed on a card that costs 2. There's a couple of more of those going to be in the set, but at least I think this might be like valuable in depending on how much draw you need. And corp installing stuff in the root of a server is not a mandatory thing, so you play this and you don't get a draw every turn, you get a draw sometimes. Maybe if you could like force the corporation to install stuff on the remote or something, you get like could guarantee value. But now it's not right, like not completely there, I would believe. Also there's the wheelchair person once again, and I think this kid was in one of the cards, yeah. That might be the same kid. Also the dog is really cute here. Yeah, that was all of the Anarch cards. Anarch for me is like one of the biggest losers in the rotation, but like in the old card that they lost. But these cards I think are really good. Like Solidarity Patch is insane. Strike, the price is really good, and Audrey and Banner will like, or Audrey will be like interesting at least, and Banner will be like game defining in my opinion. And Wheels will make the already good Mavakua deck much better. And then Criminal side. I think they did kind of dirty for Criminal. Criminal has not been like the best faction now, or hasn't been a like good faction for like the right after the R+ prison meta came to an end. Like 419 was really good at fighting that, but otherwise Criminal hasn't done too much. Maybe getting out like hard-hitting news might enable like aggressive runners to be a thing, and that's where like Sable might become an interesting thing. But looking at Mercury, at first I was thinking like this is going to depend on how many like bypass effects you can have in your deck, and how good they are. And I think it ends up being not too valuable of an ability. You get an extra access on RD, which is going to be nice, but the consistency that you can get there is not good enough for the ability to make real sense. You get like 1 or 2 extra accesses during the whole game, and you lose out your economic ability completely, which makes you like not being able to afford the runs compared to something like 419 that slows down the corporation, or Sable that gets just extra clicks and extra value from her like mark synergy. Khrushchev beyond scheming. One of the worst cards in the set. I think this is one of the cards that I really don't see why it's printed like this. Like revealing the top cards of R&D could be nice, but like giving the corporation any option to just reveal a card that you might already know or something like that makes this card going to like sometimes be just -1 credit, or at the best case you look at the top 3 and then get one you can like design your access around that, but that might like end. Often you don't have enough information, so often you have enough information to gather that they have a agenda on HQ, so like them being able to just turn this ability off makes it so much worse in my opinion. Like giving the opponent options on how to deal with your cards make the card so much worse, because the corporation will always give you the worst option. That's why like stuff like Wildcat Strike is not played at all, because it never gives you the thing you actually wanted in that situation. Also, doesn't look like that's Mercury's bracelet. It's not on the art. As Dobrado. This is one of the payoff cards for Mercury, I think. It's best idea I had for this card is that it allows you to get like deep twinning digs with Mercury in the end game, but losing out the ability to use this on the remote server makes it so much worse against like 99% of corps which actually want to do something on the, or not 99, like makes it so much worse against corps that try to do anything on the remote server when you cannot interact with the remote at all with this. And oftentimes you just want more economy so you can actually make it run, just a normal run there. On a central, getting through 2 eyes is interesting, but if they just like put 3 eyes down on HQ or R&D, you're just boned with this, and you still need to combine with some effects. I'm not really seeing it outside of being an ender for Mercury. Maybe if you have so much economy that you can use this as a way to get 1 or 2 access in the end game for in a central, but nothing too much beyond that. Capybara. I think people were hating on this card way too much compared to how compared to its power level. If you bypass an ice, so this combines really well with all of the Mercury stuff and other bypass effects Criminal already has. Like also this combines really well with against Anansi, which it de-reses and the effect stops firing. So you can combine this with like laser scrapers, laser pointers, and Anansi to actually like get through there. Or not Anansi, Stavka to get through there, but I think laser pointers is going to be good enough. at defy like stopping the Stavka threat from being too much of a worry for a criminal if like the Stavka over rig shooter decks will be a thing. Still, it's not like on a hippo power level, but if you're playing enough bypass effects, you're going to play this. Hermes, one of the best criminal cards in the set. I have been talking with some people like in the Finnish meta and like Leela was apparently like a really good effect at some point, and getting a Leela on top of having your like 419 slowing the corporation down might be super good against like stuff like sports metal and outfit, which just play like huge things and where you just can completely stop them. And it messes up like all of the Shelly game PEs, which just plays down advanced things and force you to run them. As like Mercury's console, it's not worth it. Mercury needs the economy ability from the console. The use for this will be more for forward 9 to get rid of all of the faster matchups that want to score out, or for like Sable that can keep the pressure light while still getting early accesses and can like keep some of these central servers clear to get the mark effects more consistently. This is one of these new cards. I think it's just a barrier breaker for Criminal, which is huge. Criminal is the faction that has so bad barrier breakers normally that you almost always have to import your barrier breaker from out of faction. Like options like Mackler and Marionach and Tycoon are just so bad that you want to play like discount Corroder even as your breaker. Getting the ability to bypass barriers might make the ability, or might make some corporations need to consider their ice switch again, or the like they cannot mix low strengths and high strengths by barrier ice if this becomes too much of a problem, because you can just break the small ones and then bypass the huge ones. Also, it's on encounter, so you cannot bypass stuff like Loki that gets a barrier subroutine, if that's going to be a problem, but I would not guess that's a thing after the Chassis rotates. Still, this is going to be huge for Criminal, I think, because Criminal's barrier breakers are so bad that you actually might still consider this, considering how much you need your other influence options. Laser Pointer. It's a really good card. I think it is a really good card. It defends you and lets you be aggressive. You just put this down, and none of these abilities that really hurt you on a face check, like Destroyer or AP, can do anything about that. So, and it combines really well with stuff like Capybara and stuff like that. The problem with this will be that you actually need to install it, and 2 is a bit of a hefty cost in the early game. Depending on how scary the stuff will be in the set, this might be like a huge thing, or at least a thing that Criminal pays. 3 cost is too much for anybody else to import though. And yeah, one of the other things was the Stavka half-round combo that I was talking about at some point. This defeating that combo makes this a worthy include if the Stavka rig shooter ends up being a real thing, because it's one of the better ways that criminal can defeat that combo now that you cannot really play more bug alters or more of your killer because your other killers are so ass after they took out criminal behind the shed with the bug alter ban. Saki from Ysengrin's stream. I'm not seeing this card. I don't understand it. I don't get how much credit you are going to get from hosting this and just continuously resing and de-resing it. It's cool and the art's nice and Baram Wu will probably try to make some real jank with it, but I'm not seeing it in any competitive decks at all. At least without like extra support. Shibboleth. This is, in my opinion, one of the other like really good cards for criminal. You just get this down early game and you can manage with code gates. Like this, for example, used to breaks the new Athene for 5, and then you can like rotate out from your other options like Mavakua, for example, or Amakua if you play Amakua deck or something, or you can get like Amina down at some point when you need it, when the threat gets this card much weaker. And it still is a better breaker than stuff like Cat's Cradle that you don't really want to use to break something at all. This is manageable to use as a breaker, at least in the early game when it still has 3 strength. A really good card. Also, I think the ice here is the breaker actually here is the like ribbon thing. So I'm wondering if this like wall of balls is going to be ice at some point. Like the art has been the icebreaker attacking the different types of thing that it's going to break at like some point. And that's all of the criminal cards. Oh, it's not. There's one more. Debbie Downtown Moreira, which is a really nice Ken support. I think it's a decent economic ability if you're playing more run events, but the like restriction of being a click ability to spend these hosted credits is so annoying for you because you're playing all of these run events and then you cannot use the run event to combine with this card. I think this card would have been much cooler and better if you could like pay these cards on like runs that where you use run events or like to pay for your run events so you can continuously loop those. This is just like you play cards down, make one run with this without extra benefit, and it ends up like being a fun thing that you put down, but you probably won't play too many of these. The benefit of having Threat 4 for you to place 2 counters on this makes it better, but still not amazing. So not going to see playing like reg decks, but it's going in my startup jank Ken Tenma deck with like all of the run events, so it's at least fun and the art's really cool. Shaper. I am afraid that this is going to be the problem faction, or this not the problem faction, but all of like the Finnish players in the like my local meta are really excited for playing some Shaper jank, so I might get really tired of playing against this ID constantly. The ability to get programs out of your hand with instant speed is going to be like amazing in my opinion, with all of the extra Trojan support that the faction got. and with there still being like extra value that you might get with stuff like World Tree and Mayfly and the what's the thing called? Self-modifying code that you can put down, use, and then keep the other thing. So I think this is going to be at least a really cool idea, and I would bet a like powerful idea as well. Joyride. I was playing draft yesterday with like the Finnish meta, and I stumbled upon this card called Quality Time, which is pay 3, draw 5. And this is just a better version of that card. I like this is extremely good like shaper card, in my opinion, and you just get so much value. You get a run, you can install Trojan on the run, and you just get more value, more cards in your hand, so you get more Trojans, more engine pieces, everything. This is just complete gas. If your economy can handle that, and I think Shaper has enough event economy and economy in general to handle paying 2 to draw 5 with extra run benefits. Nope. Not going to reader view. Yeah, just a completely busted card, I would imagine, but Shaper might need some help, so we are to see. Airblade Axe, also seen in this art and in the stories. It's a cool card. I was really hype on it at first, but more that I think about it, all of the like effects that you might want to stop have been kind of shifting to res abilities, like stuff like Stavka and ping and other like stuff like that. It's going to be much weaker. One thing, and the thing may this being not on the table for the whole game, but having like 2 effects ends up probably being a bit too weak. Preventing net damage is good against PE decks, but doesn't end up showing too often. And preventing when encountered effects is great against some decks as well. So probably a situation like with the no free lunch, where this is either going to see no play if the decks that this helps with are not in the meta, but if the cards that this beats are completely controlling the meta, I think this might be a card that Shapers play multiples of, but other factions have probably hard time importing a card that does not completely win you the game. Even though it's on 1 influence, you still compete with stuff like pinhole threading, and I was about to say Deus Wild, but the Deus Mild is already a thing, but Deus Child, as some people were calling it, is, well, we will get to that at some point. Lilypad, the Arisana's console, is probably a really good fit for Arisana, but competing with Anika might be difficult if you're not needing the 2 MU from this. I think getting the constant access to like playing events or getting events trashed is better than getting a installing programs. You probably also want to combine this with stuff that allows you to install programs on the corporation's turn. So stuff like Simulchip and SMC might be better with this also. So basically, competing with. This is going to see playing like Arizona decks and other decks that want to install things, but the main console will probably be Anicum still. Living Mural, hitting an archer in the back with the tongue. Trojan Icebreaker, which is cool for Arizona, but you already have a probably better Icebreaker in Eco that you can use for a similar purpose. This goes onto ice and breaks everything on the server, so if there's a reason for corporations to start stacking killer sentries, like they did with like the Bridgeman's Cornered Beast build, this might be really helpful there, but I just do not see the effect being too good otherwise. Also, the numbers are not up to par probably, but I might be clouded by having Bug Alter in the game for so long. Basically a discount Ika at the end of the day. Yeah, I don't know how to say this word, Picasso or something like that. One of the, like, I probably would guess like a busted thing. Lets you set up deep dive so much easier with getting extra clicks and still like being down on the table to get extra clicks in the future if you just do not get any extra clicks after that. And you still can get extra, use this multiple times per turn for if you want to. Just getting extra clicks is so valuable. The one install cost is not a real cost considering the other things you could use for getting this same value. Stuff like All Nighter is usable only once, and was usable. There's not even like other options in the game for stuff like this now. So I think like Combo Shaper might be a thing in the future. At least with like deep dives, comboing like two deep dives in a turn might be a thing. Slap Vandal depends on really which ice suite the corporations are going with. If there are like reasonable ice with just one subroutine, like just like the toll booth here, might be a good card, but you probably have better options as your AI Trojan breakers, like Botulis is much better than this. So if you can spare the influence, you play 3 Botulis and not 3 this. Also 6 strength, so this can like end up being placed on an ice that this actually can break, but there are not too many of those, so it's not a real threat, but still a thing that you need to keep in mind. So you cannot completely rely on this one. Umbrella, not a huge fan. It's a good breaker, but letting corporation draw cards and needing extra support from the Trojans, I think you probably want to rely on Unity more preferably, depending on how many Trojans do you have and how many different breakers do you have. But at least it's an interesting card and might actually see some play, but only probably in Arizona, I would think. This card I was setting up for Robecon, I think, or the one convention I was last weekend, and I think this card is completely busted, giving The giving Shaper multi-access on R&D from HQ where like corporation doesn't want to ice too much against Shaper is going to be so wild, and you can get extra clicks with the Picasso. So I do not see a timeline where this is not like a really useful card and might actually see use in like other factions as well with the 3 influence cost. Like might be in like Anarch and Anarch getting other Shaper cards banned again. I think there was also a card here called Urban Art Verissage, which it gives the this was the card that made all of the like Shaper people happy because it lets you like shuffle your Trojans around, and it's also like not unique, so you can get this and get extra value with from your Slap Vandals and Picassos, and just keep shuffling your stuff around. I think it's cool, probably not as good as the what's the Aesop pawn shops Aesop's pawn shop as like a econ thing for normal deck, but probably will be a 3-off in like Arisana decks at the start at least. Also lets you shuffle around the like effects, not just for economic benefits, but just for like getting the repositions. Bahia bands. This is the Deus's Child, which is like not a good card in my opinion. You get the draw, you get like cost 2 and it's a hidden effect here that you get a like run first, and if it's successful you can get 2 cards and then get a conditional effect. You often don't want to you might not want to install stuff, so this might be dead. You want to you don't have a tag to remove, so this dead, and this might hit sometimes but not too often. I would like I think this is a decent card, but paying an influence for it is not going to be a winning solution for many decks. Also, it's missing the one important part in Deus's Wild, which is that you can get one of the econ benefits that you need and get exposes on ice, which is completely like bonkers, and then it still get run, so you can get like hit big combos with that, and you can clear a tag without interacting with the corp, like being tempo positive on your credits, which is huge at like in some metas and I get some decks. Here you need like go tempo negative and clear the tag, or not negative, but it's you don't stay up on credits while you use clear the tags here. You still draw 2 cards as the like same cost when you clear the tag. All in all, I think Anarch is the second best winner from this set. The average card here is probably a bit better than Shaper, but the cards like Banner and Audrey will like be their power level will be changed by how the meta turns out. The price and solidarity patch are like going into every reg Anarch deck, and possibly like every reg deck with solidarity patch. Criminal, not too happy with this. Already a faction that is struggling, and getting stuff like skimming and Sachi is not helping you with the things that you want to be doing. At least like Kuribara lets you not need to import a barrier breaker, and Hermes and Laser Pointer and Shibboleth are good cards, but I think criminal might be still the worst runner faction. I would at least think so. And here the Shepherd cards are extremely good. Joyride, really good. And Beatrice is like an excellent card as well. This Trojan packet, we'll see how good it actually ends up being, but if it's good, I would bet it's either really good or really bad. I don't see a middle or it's really good and like decent tier 1.5. I don't see a world where it's like bad as a package. Then if we go to corporation, there is going to be a huge shift in the corporation side with the hard-hitting news and other like really important options going. Salvo testing, people were thinking that this effect will be on this card. I don't understand why people are why like anybody would be excited from this card. You already have better ways to deal core damage in like most decks, and those do not involve you scoring a 5-3 like to turn your game plan on. If your game plan starts from getting 5-3, it's not a good game plan. One place I might not even going to see this in like sports decks that can do core damage because it's a 5-3 and you want probably to have Eco Project as a better thing in Soul because that gives you a core damage, might give you a core damage when the runner steals it if they don't have enough clicks. Stegonon Mark 4, it's a 3-1 with a mildly beneficial thing. This probably will be better after the next set comes out, because I would think that the new set will be focusing on de-ressing things, with this card being a thing. But I don't think this is going to see any play in like any deck right now. Wage workers, this is where the good stuff begins. Getting Chiefs back is going to be huge for like scoring decks. I was not in the game where Chiefs was a thing, but I have heard so many good things about the card that I think Asa probably will be back in some fashion, as not like the dumb Mad Boom combo deck, but as like a scoring thing in the future. At least I will be trying to build this. Ablative Barrier, also a huge card for Asa, like scoring Asa decks, because you get... It starts up as like just end the run, and then at the end game you start getting this like threat effect, and can like create new remotes on the runner's turn and get Asa value from that as well. And it even installs from archives, which means that you can throw out your eyes and don't need to have everything in hand when this fires. Like these cards that are modal, that in the early game it's a cheap end run, and in the late game it gives you value from just getting stuff out from your hand and giving you tempo and making the runner like maybe misplay. Luckily you cannot get agendas out with this, but I think it's still a really good card, especially for Asa when you can get the install trigger on the runner's turn. Jaguarundi, not feeling this card. I don't think HB tags are too good. It ends up being a discount toll booth at some point, but your tags are not too scary. It gets broken by same amount as drafter does gets broken, and its effect is not as good as drafters. Like one core damage is not going to matter in decks, in most decks, and in decks that it does matter, you probably have better things to do than try to hit the runner with attacks. Might see some playing like if you have a tagging Thule deck with Hypoxia, that might be a thing with distributed tracing or something, but I would not bet my hopes on it, at least. MIC. I really I got a dumb idea what that might be abbreviation from, but not suitable for YouTube. It's basically like a discount border control, which is an excellent ice, so it really depends on how cheaply the runners can break this. If it ends up costing like 5 credits or 6 credits, this is going to be a really good thing. Even costing like Amina 4 credits is really nice. And then you get the extra ability to fire this and lose the corporations on tempo and get your scores. I think this is going to be a really good thing, and you probably will combine this with border control, because you force the corporation to run, you pop border control, they continue to run, you pop this, and then you can like make Ikawa really annoying to steal, so you can probably like do install advanced plays with it as well. I think this is going to be a really nice ice. Might be hard to find space with it with being 6 cost, but I think this is a good thing. Crescent Palm. There was a similar card that was used to be played in like Ace decks, where you can play like subliminal messaging, this and red level clearance to get extra value from your runs, or extra value from your Jeeves, so that you can do like score outs from hand. If that ends up being a thing, I think this card will be like really good, but it is for somebody else to try to figure out. I'm not too experienced with that kind of build, so it's a really good econ thing, at least, and might be like a really good card as well. Also dumb tag support for HP, but that it is what it is. Vovo Oseti, absolutely huge card, I think. Getting extra cheaper res pieces or cheaper reses is huge, and like if you install this and then you install one thing, it's basically like paying itself off already, and then when you get to threat 4 you can start dressing stuff for much cheaper. So I think this is just a huge economic thing. For decks that like to play on a singular server, so stuff like Architects of Tomorrow and some like Asa builds might be using this, and PD probably as well, because you just keep pressing stuff in the remote there. HP, I'm really happy with the HP cards in this set. I was really down on HP in like Midnight Sun. The new card just ended up not being too good, and like Harmonic set was really mediocre in the end, so it's good that HP got like some power cards back. Also, this is one of these cards that is basically like a rewriting of an old card, but it's a one that people enjoy playing, so cannot be too mad on that. Jinteki, another faction I'm really interested in now, because Teia is a like Asa-like ability. If it ends up being like just slow ash glacier that tries to build one scoring remote for the cheap install costs, I'm not going to be too happy, but I think there's going to be some like really interesting tempo things with they at least. Fuji asset retrieval, discount oboe is basically my only point. There might be some things that make this make sense, stuff like punitive or something like that, but even there, oboe is still much harder thing to steal and get away with, so also this doesn't do the damage before you steal it, so against PE and decks like that, this ends up being a thing that the runner just finds at some point in after they find the 4 agendas they need or the 4 points that they need, and the game just ends. At least on oboe they actually had to have 4 cards in hand, but here they just can steal this with like 1 card left in their deck or even 0 cards left in their deck, so it really disables like grinder things being super good as they used to be beforehand. Also makes like Logi Ag Infusion prison decks much weaker, even with like all of the cards being rotated out, like DNA Tracker and Chiasi, which make the deck already pretty bad probably. This is like the final nail in the coffin, with the runner being able to steal these after all of the damage that they have taken, so closing out the game will be much harder with this than closing out the game with oboe. Front company, RP, but in a 2-cost asset. Who could have imagined? Still an interesting card. I have a bit of a hard time figuring out where this is going to go. Maybe in some like asset deck that tries to slow the runner down a bit, but ends up being a bit too slow, bit too fragile in those decks, and being a political asset is probably not too helpful. And the one thing here is also is that it might. The only thing I can see this doing is enabling some like prison thing with like cold site servers or something like that. So not too happy with, not too like interested in this card, but it will at least do something, or it might do something, not at least, but it might do something. But if it does something, I think it will be negative for the game. Athene, discount DNA Tracker. This is a new card. Fonet Naturea. Passes this ice, more cards in hand, gives them tag, do one. Carmen breaks this cheaply, but giving the runner tags if they have more than 4 cards in 4 or more, so even needing to go down to 3, so you're on like snare threat is not going to be nice. So this actually might be a really annoying card to get through continuously. So I think this might go in like Theia decks, but then you need like actual punishment for the tag, so bit hard to see the like placing of this, but still I think this might see some play with like the other card that will probably show up soon. Tatuboala, one of the continental cards. Haven't seen this before, I think. Passes this ice, gain 4, and swap it with an ice from HQ. It's also like passes this ice, so and 2-cost end the run. I think this is actually like really good. It is a cheap end the run barrier that Jinteki has like never had, I think. That's already like really good, and then you can even like swap it out with other things and get a credit benefit. You could even like have 2 of these and get just plus 2 clicks. Yeah, the new card is installed on rest, so you can get like 2 credits every time if you just have 2 of these, and you just can get like, you can switch out your eyes and protect where you need, when you need, so, and you can play this, and then when as a like cheap end the run thing, and when you need, you can switch this out and place the Anansi on the remote server or wherever you need your eyes at that point. So a really good card, I think. Also, I think like swap effects trigger the Teia ability, so this is a must include in Teia. Mindscaping, I'm not a huge fan of these kind of things where it's a like damage thing and an economy thing at the same time. I think you probably should like just be allowed to play one of these, or make the other thing like not scary, because giving Jinteki unconditional damage from tags is a thing that is going to be really nasty if it ever gets out of hand. Luckily, I think the news team got rotated, so getting runner tagged is going to be much more hard. But combining stuff like this with Fonenaturia will make it so the runner actually has to clear the tags, and it is a decent economic effect on the top of the thing as well, going like +1 on card, like going. It doesn't go plus on card advantage, but goes even with a credit benefit and letting you decide what's on top. So like protecting your R&D as well. I think this is, if you can get any value from the tag side, I think this is going to be a really good card. Adrian says, funny thing in like Finnish, says means like stop, so this is doubly good naming for like considering like the Finnish word. Also, this is like a discount Caprice Nice, where it can stop the run just once, but gets them still stays on the table, so it will stop one run at least at some point of the game. I think it's much healthier than Caprice probably, and will probably find a place in like these Teia decks and other like Jinteki Glacier decks like Ag Infusion or something like that, if you get a scoring Ag Infusion going at some point. This card I hadn't seen before. Trust is upgrade. Yeah. Oh, that's an annoying card. Might fit in some like PE deck, but letting the corp runner not steal attacks doesn't, or making the runner being able to not steal things in PE probably is not worth it, and just adding cards into the grip is not too much of a cost, I would imagine, so at least it's annoying to get rid of, so I actually don't have a huge opinion on this card. It might see some play if you have like Teia decks going, but like making Teia actually be like a oboe level of difficulty to score is kinda interesting, but we'll see with this. NBN getting all of the assets back, so I think this is like a friendlier version of CTM. CTM mostly where you get a beneficial effect opposed to the runner getting a really negative effect from them trashing the thing. The effect is actually like really nice. Getting a draw plus a tutor plus like a install is a really good click compression. Click compression, it just ends. It might be difficult to get like a way to actually win the game, but the assets are there at least, so it's just about finding a way to actually win the game with the assets and upgrades. Oracle Think Tank, a really annoying agenda at least, probably goes to decks like there was this fast break R plus deck, where this probably goes because it gives you so much tempo and is like a PE light in that deck. And also you can take it back if the runner ever floats a tag, which is interesting and kind of people played 15 minutes, but that was probably was more because 15 minutes is a 2-1 in some decks. And yeah, some like Slow Glacier probably could play this as a thing that you can get back, so the opponent need to actually steal 3-pointers before they find this, so they can't like find this at some point and then just steal a 3-pointer. So it's at least like interesting in both kind of decks. Balanced coverage, probably really good in Epiphany, where you can look at the top of the deck sometimes, and having two of these actually means that you're going +2 on credit, +2 on credit, so both of them is give 1. And it's actually like 3 to trash, so it's not too cheap to get off the table. I think this is going to be a really good asset for like asset spam decks. And other white decks also being just one to res is interesting. But giving information for the runner is never like a fun thing to do, so you might need to consider when you can actually reveal the option. So we're going to see how it's going, how good the yellow asset decks are going to be. Behold is the yellow snare, probably goes to some like R plus deck, and it's slow to clear, makes the opponent float a tag sometimes, and you might be able to murk them with it, but a bit too situational, and paying for two tags isn't probably worth it more often. I have a hard time finding a deck that really wants this, but might end up in some like R plus decks or something like that. The best asset in the set, or at least best yellow asset and best asset for like asset spam decks, it's basically like a Sensei's Actor Union, where you can look at the top 3 cards and then get a draw. So if you have an ID that protects this is actually like really insanely good. Like like CTM would have loved this card if this was still legal, and probably could have been imported into like Gagarin Deep Space or something like that. It just depends on how good Epiphany will be, that if this card will see play, and if like other white decks can play this and protect it with other things. Stuff like Hostile Architecture, for example, might be really interesting. Startled Knight, like, feels like a anti-tag me card, but it is basically like pay 5 to have a 2 strength, 2 subroutine eyes most of the time, so it's just the numbers are just too bad, and you don't have too good of ways to make the runner go tag me, so the ice will probably be too easy to break most of the time, and even if you can cannot break it a single time, you can just take the 2 tags and go through and then start clearing those. So I think this won't see any play in any deck at all, but this is the second best card reveal that was in this whole rotation. The story thing within the green level clearance Discord bot was really fun to do. Virtual Service Agent, basically like a IP block light. The subroutine here is laughably bad, and you just give 1 tag for the runner, so it ends up not being it ends up not stopping the tag AI you abusing decks completely. So I have a really hard time seeing where this card actually fits in the modern game. Losing 1 credit and it taking a tag is not too big of a deal. There's no clickless tag removal left, so it might start getting annoying at some point, but then you just find your decoder, and even then you can run through this if you need to, without too big of attacks. Oppo Research, I think this is Lou in the art. It's basically a HHN that you cannot interact with, but doesn't work early game. So rip outfit, rip fast Asmari Rush. So and welcome your new decks that go late and then play install advance, play this and force the runner to clear all the tags before they do anything. Not a huge fan of how this card was designed. I think HHN was a bit problematic card for newer players, but I think this will end up being more oppressive against better players, and it will allow people to do bad plays without getting punished. So it will not be complained about as much as HHN was. At least the effect is a bit harder to trigger. Often when you're doing one of these 2 things because you are running for a reason, but you cannot get tagged by just doing a random check on R&D. Or one thing that gets hosted by a bit is Mavakua, where you have Mo and Anna's informant, so you actually don't trash anything, and Mo is actually the corporation trashing the card, not you. So this, I have a bit hard time finding what deck this fits, but might be I think it opens up the scoring window for Epiphany decks. Your Digital Life seems like a bad econ operation. You need to have 8 cards in your hand for this to be, or 7 cards in your hand for this to be hedge fund level of credit, so not really seeing it at this point. Maybe if there were more cards that give you bigger hand size or something, you can get Rashida plus a Spin Doctor on a same turn, but then that's really conditional for the value. There's the NBN cards. Wayland actually got a really interesting set of cards. There's this expendable mechanic, which is that you reveal the card and you get a different effect as opposed to the card's normal effect. So this is a 2-4 agenda that actually functions like a fast advance piece. So this might be really good in some like op decks that want to go fast and want to have like fast advance pieces in their deck, and can combine with this with getting stuff like SF scored, when you can then find a spin doctor instantly and then combo in that way. But the cost of putting a face down agenda in the archives might be a bit too harsh for this to be like the main thing, but like getting value from your agenda slots is such a huge point that it's at least considerable or a really good slot in like fast op decks and different kind of things. Wayland like outfit slots are too constrained right now, but this finds a slot somewhere at least. Cybersend Harvester. I think that's the 3-line card on the back, but I see a hard time getting value from this. This feels like a white Asa card or something like that, or a thing that you just plonk down on a like white deck, but then you are not raising the eyes, so it's just a hard place to find a place for this, I think. 3-line, interesting card, but I don't see too much value in getting these advancements on a card, so might end up being just a 4 credit 4 mana end the run gain credit, so not too hyped about it. Even though like cards with modality are good, I don't think advancing cards is good enough. Valentau, one thing that might keep outfit as a playable thing to play like big deals. Functions bit like Bulwark, where it's really annoying thing to break, but this actually lets the run. It's a bit softer that it can let the runner through even without being able to break this if they have a huge credit lead. Luckily, outfit kind of prints money with all of the agendas and different bad publicity cards, so I see a world where big deal outfit is a really good deck with this, even though Bulwark rotated out. Armed asset protection might be like the second worst card in the set. You need to have 3 different kinds of cards in archives, so it often ends up being just a bad econ thing. If you can like get agendas face up on archives, it's good, but I don't think that's realistic enough, at least for the current situation. Pivot, I actually haven't seen the full text for this. Actually, play double search R&D thread 3 install. Play or install 1 card from R&D. So might be able to get some kills with this as a like closer. Having the thread 3 concept compared to like, I think it was a old Mumbad card which did the same thing but let you play the operation instantly. So I kind of have a hard time seeing where this fits. Finding operations is always good, but there's no like boom right now. Also, this is trashable, so it doesn't really function as like a foolproof boom finder or like end of a line finder as well, so not too promising of a card in my opinion. Angelique Garza Correa. Also a new card for me. Threat 3. Expendable duo meat damage. So you can get a cheeky kill with it, but not too reliably. Access this upgrade while it's rest, you may pay 2 to do 2 meat damage. Oh, that's actually that's an interesting card at least. I think that might fit some like decks that try to pressure the runner out. Stuff like PE, if you have like can have enough credits and it's a forced trash, so like if you can protect it with something, this starts to get really annoying. For example, hostile architecture op builds might be really enjoying this to protect their urban renewals or something like that. So this could tax out the hand really nicely. Tukan. Oh, that's a Tukan in the art. Persistent when scored or stolen. Search R&D for 1 piece of ice. Install and rest that ice. Oh, that's an interesting upgrade. Looks a bit like the Malapert data vault. Or scored or stolen. Probably good in like ob decks where you need the ice as a thing that you can use to get more value. You can get like border control out with this and then use it, or get like ice as a fuel. But if you just get one, this might be too weak, but if you can get like multiple and then Forster then if you can get one and then the runner steals the agenda and trashes this might make more sense. Then there is the one neutral asset for like the corporation side, B1001, Adam's long lost brother, at least in my head canon. I don't see too much use for this card. Might be interesting in some decks, but the coolest thing here is, or like the funniest jank thing here is probably doing some like prison setup with B1001 with fun houses and Toth. Or Toth rotates, but doing it like a fun house and other things that give tags, so you can use this to stop the runs. I think that might be a bit too janky, because you need to find this and it instantly dies to a pinhole threading, and then you probably need to import stuff like Trieste and end the run Bayreuth, so you can actually protect this as well, because you cannot use this ability on this server, so it's a bit interesting, but I don't see a real like meta deck that uses this. Yeah, that was my knee-jerk reaction on the new cards, as I was waiting for the set to come out on JNet and NRDB, so I hope somebody at least got some enjoyment out of this, and I hope to see all of you in like at Worlds and at like all of the Continentals tournament. So hope everybody has a good time there.